Welcome to the fall edition of Indigo Living's On the Couch series. It's a series that celebrates female entrepreneurs across the region. Now today's pretty special because the entrepreneur that we are featuring this week, well, she ticks all the boxes of what makes a real success. So, educational background, business school, check. Working at the world's leading tech company, Amazon, check. Found a niche in the market because a personal experience, check. And then of course, moving to the Middle East and disrupting the market in the clean beauty space. Anisha Oberoi ticks all the boxes. So it's no surprise she has an award-winning brand in just 1 year. Please welcome Anisha to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So it's a long list because you have the perfect formula of what it takes to be a real boss lady and of course to have a company that has really made an impact in the clean beauty space.
Thank you for all that honor. It still feels a bit unreal given how young we are. But
well, you celebrate. This is your first birthday, right?
Yes,
this
it's
week.
our first birthday.
Oh, nice.
I'm very grateful. I think we've had a really good response in the region and I learn every day on the job. So while that checklist might look great, there's still a huge steep learning curve.
I want to go back to your educational experience because you were brought up in India. Mm-hmm. You went to impressive INSEAD for a business school. And what was the journey after INSEAD?
Well, I lived in two countries, France and Singapore, and I was actually trying to find work in Southeast Asia after I graduated. However, I did not know that Amazon was also headhunting for founding members of their team because they were launching the fashion vertical. So Amazon picked me up a little after I graduated from Singapore, moved me back to India. I was not happy about that, but I did not know that it was going to be a career game changer. It anchored my resume. So I worked with Amazon for 5 years. I launched Amazon Fashion and Beauty in India and Australia, so two big markets, before I moved here.
What did you learn from Amazon? Because it is a company that is, I mean, forget the stocks, but it has changed so the way consumers shop on a daily basis. What were some of the lessons you learned just from Amazon?
Well, we're talking about 1 billion people, right? I mean, to be the purveyor of what they see when it comes to fashion and how they buy and to understand their consumer behavior, to understand what they aspire to be, who they aspire to be when they're making a purchase. There's a very deep dive into the psyche. It's a great responsibility because working with Amazon is actually like boot camp. You learn to look at everything in a very analytics sort of way. So you're looking at the spend propensity of the consumer. You're looking at how much time do they spend on the app? How deep do they go? What do they click on? I think that intel is incredibly important, and 5 years of that intel across different product categories enables me to do what I do today.
So intel, which is essentially data. So constantly looking at data, consumer patterns, algorithms to essentially serve your end consumer the best way possible. I think that, to me, I mean, we speak all the time, but to me, that is kind of that aha moment that
data is king.
Yeah.
Even when we think about the Middle Eastern region, no one spends more on personal care and beauty than this part of the world. We're talking about between $240, $250 of an average per capita spend, where there are fewer women than there are men as opposed to other markets. And then given that there is such a big focus on beauty and personal care, it's quite a sizable opportunity, and you're constantly looking at what are people shopping for, what are people buying, how are they consuming it, how do you, in a sea of competitors, and now we're just talking about beauty brands, we're not talking just about clean beauty, in a sea of competitors as technology advances, how are you going to be more disruptive, more innovative, and more differentiated? I think that is the key, and data really helps you to do that.
But you have this amazing job in India. What made you move to Dubai? Because you're working for the best company in the world. How did you make that
I can't
Middle
believe
East
I
job?
gave it up voluntarily.
Okay.
My mother was not happy. I moved here for love and fresh air.
Love and fresh air. I love that because that's a very honest answer.
Yes, it's true. And after 5 years of Amazon, I was also itching to go to another market. So I looked at India, I looked at, I was going to move out of India eventually anyway. It was a pit stop. I looked at Seattle, I looked at the Middle East, and the Middle East is what it finally became. That decision to move here was largely spurred on by a personal priority. And I moved here thinking I was going to continue on the corporate progression path. Because I did not imagine anything but a corporate career and that rise for myself. But to answer your question, I was also experiencing this spiritual struggle between money and meaning. Because while I was looking for work and not being satisfied by the opportunities that were coming my way, I was also going to hit 10 years of being in remission from breast cancer. And I felt that any job that I would take would, of course, give me more money and give me a line item on my resume and a bullet point on my LinkedIn. But how was I giving back? What was I doing with that experience that I had in order to create a very value-driven, purposeful existence for myself? And that's how Secret Skin came to be. It was really my story.
You arrive in the Middle East and you realize that after having breast cancer, you started becoming very conscious of products that you're putting in your body. So now you have a problem, right? Because you are looking for the best skincare in the world. You can't find it. And you want to find this purpose. And that's how Secret Skin was born.
It was very serendipitous because I saw the gap. And I think my Amazon hat made me see the opportunity. And
but what did you feel was missing here?
So I was not able to buy any skincare or beauty product that was toxin free. And there were some platforms that were selling a few brands that I had heard of, but I wasn't sure whether they were buying it from the gray market. I wasn't sure whether they were registering them here. So authenticity and trust was a huge deal, especially when you've been through an experience like mine. And then I took $1,200 out of my own pocket and I started ordering products from the UK, from Southeast Asia, from the US. So I would go directly to brands as well as go to an aggregator like Cult Beauty. Now data, right? I found that you're waiting 3 weeks to receive the product. You're paying between 55 and 85% in shipping and customs in order to import it.
Yeah.
It's a very poor customer experience. If you have an issue and you're dissatisfied, there's no local customer care. If you want to send the product back, then you have to pay for it. So for me, that aha moment came when I said, well, how about I start with my favorite products across the skincare and the hair care category from brands that I already use and I'm able to talk about them. Let's bring them here and go about it in a very legit manner and give the customer a value proposition that they can't refuse, where they don't need to go to any other platform to buy anything that they need. So I wanted to dispel the 4 misconceptions around clean beauty. A, it wasn't luxurious. B, it didn't perform as well as pharmaceutical products.
Yeah.
C, that it wasn't affordable. And D, it wasn't accessible. So I put together really a store of my favorite products from top to toe across different price points, gave the customers free shipping just so that they could try, started a recycling program for plastic. And that's how we launched.
Anisha, it's been 1 year that you have had this company. You've clearly disrupted the market because everyone is talking about Secret Skin. What has made this company stand out? Because it's 1 year, you have been nominated for awards, you've taken awards home, you have a repeat customer coming back to you buying multiple products at checkout. What do you think is the key to success that you've recognized in your path in 1 year?
I think drive and perseverance. It's really been a testament to patience as well as a lot of hard work with a side of blood, sweat and tears. I can tell you that.
But you understand the market. You've managed to really target that specific consumer, which I think a lot of people are struggling for. What have you learned from your findings?
Well, I think that given that we've been almost in the pandemic for about 2 years now, there is an emphasis on safety and living a cleaner, more mindful existence. yes, I did recognize the gap here when it came to beauty. So let's look at the market stats for a moment. The personal care and beauty market globally is $600 billion. Now add a clean beauty lens to that, about 8% of that is clean. Now let's add another filter of regional context. We believe that given the huge emphasis on the category in this region, by 2025, at least $2.6 billion is the market that we're looking at, out of which 40% is going to be online. This has definitely been perpetuated by COVID, and it presents a huge opportunity. Even for us, after 4 quarters of operation, I can tell you where my customer is from, what's the customer's age and the demographic, what else are they looking at when they're searching for beauty amongst other platforms. How much do they spend? Our average basket value is the same as a Sephora and a Bloomingdale's online today, with a very healthy repeat rate. And we know that our repeat customers keep coming back and placing larger orders. We know that we have that loyalty, but we have to build a community of clean crusaders. So we have a lot of initiatives that we very actively work on, because we're not just another platform selling clean beauty. It goes beyond that. It's value driven. It focuses on environmental and social impact. We make boxes for hair fall through chemotherapy, and for cancer, and for sleep, and for anxiety, by working with different cohorts where we can attract the right customer audience.
Your list of brands are impressive. A lot of them are very exclusive to you. How does a brand, how do you find, what is that relationship? How does a brand find you? Because I know there's so many brands out there that would like to be on your platform. And how do you find the brand?
Well, the brands find us when they do a search on who's selling clean beauty in the region, because by now we've raked up a considerable number of publications, global and local, that have spoken about us. And they also find us because we have very deep industry connections with different regions around the world when it comes to this particular category. So we like to say that we're the center of excellence for the brands that we partner with, because starting from the sourcing to the due diligence to helping them come into the region, working on their go-to-market strategy, planning their PR and influencer seeding, actually working with them on the launch calendar, identifying what will work from their assortment in this region at the price point that we have seen is prevalent, is very important, because you're also giving them data on how they should position themselves to the strongest degree.
So I actually think I always say this as well to brands, is that you have to have someone on the ground who understands the market, because if you're not serving that end consumer, your product will literally just sit on the shelf, right?
Yes, I think that the Middle Eastern consumer is a different consumer, but with more and more initiatives that we launch on Secret Skin, which are largely online, and we also find other opportunities to reach the target audience. We have an understanding of the Middle Eastern consumer, so we're able to predict, especially because it's an online platform at the moment, and because tech is at the heart of what we do, we're able to predict what the customer will want next and how you have to increase that selection and the assortment, which is again Amazon. There's selection, pricing, convenience, but with Secret Skin there's an added layer of experience, because you know that the customer understands that they're reducing their carbon footprint by buying locally. They're also providing microeconomies to indigenous tribes that while harvest the ingredients that go into the products.
Yeah.
So we find the brands, as well as there is an equal impetus on them finding us, but it's largely a lot of research. I look at what brands Credo is onboarding in the US, which is like the gold standard. Credo, and then you have some new platforms as well that are focusing on indie brands, but we're very largely focused on bringing indie brands here. 95% of my assortment is indie brands from different parts of the world. We also register all the brands as importer of record, which is why they're exclusive to us. About 45% of our brands are exclusive to us.
Well, I think that's another fact I just want to point out, because I know a lot of companies want to come here, and it's really important to know that as a retailer you are certifying each brand, registering each product, because you want to know the footprint of where it's coming from and to know that it is certified clean beauty brand.
Whether it's I mean, the word clean is so unregulated, right? And beyond a watertight definition, it's largely products that don't use toxins in their formulations.
Yeah.
And we need to look at what's the shelf life, because it has a direct link to how much stabilizing preservative has gone into it. What is that? What percentage of that? We go as deep as that. We do our due diligence. We look at all the ingredients. Sometimes we even do lab tests. Not we, but then the Dubai municipality, that is our the local authority here, the regulatory here. And I think that we know by the time the brand hits the hands of the consumer, it's been through the entire process where we have gone ahead and made that effort for you, so that you can come to us as a voice of authority and buy knowing that we've gone through that process and that it's safe.
It's safe, and the packaging, everything is recyclable,
is locally sourced. We're very clear on trying to reduce our carbon footprint, even though we're a small operation now and the data set is small now. Everything and insight that we know about each interaction gives us an opportunity to innovate and optimize, whether it's our logistics, or whether it's packaging, whether it's the way that we're sourcing the brands, or whether we're reducing our customer acquisition cost, because in a new market, especially when you're new, the customer acquisition cost is really high. Did you know that it's more expensive to bring men to a platform than it is to bring women through digital marketing?
Really?
Because they're not necessarily reading the same publications that the women are, or going to the same platform.
I also think men's shopping patterns are a lot different.
Well, in our case, the women shop for the men. So they'll buy the shampoo, the conditioner, the body wash, and they'll buy it for their men, because typically they're all using the same bathroom.
Yeah.
And we have people who dial in using our Zoom consult feature, saying that I also want to buy for my husband, but I have a certain budget. What is it that you can recommend from the platform? And we're not dermatologists, so we can't tell you what concerns you need to address with your doctor, but we can tell you basis what we know about our products, because I sample everything on my own.
I can just imagine what your bathroom looks like, full of products.
There's a reason why we don't share.
Listen, I think that's the secret to every
That
relationship.
Is a secret to every
Don't
relationship.
share the bathroom. No, I love what you've created.
Thank you.
It's so impressive what you've done in 1 year. And I truly believe that you have managed to tick all the boxes just through your educational background, working at Amazon, very impressive. And of course, being a breast cancer warrior, I learned that word through you. That personal touch and experience that you've gone through changed their whole perspective of what you want to put in your body.
It's really important to me. I can't tell you how important it is to me. It frustrates me when you can find a way around the process. It's not been easy because I'm very new to the region, and clean beauty is also gaining traction, but it's not a natural category that people are attracted towards, because you have to build that resonance in this region. So from the brand penetration to modifying the consumer behavior by showing them the content that really inspires them in order to make that switch, that is what I live for. When someone messages me on Instagram saying that I'm going through my 8th round of chemo, and a friend of mine sent me your profile to see your journey, and I'm so inspired by you, and I think that there is hope on the other side, that's what I live for. It's not about how many sales I made today.
I love that. You know, I always say my mom's a breast cancer survivor, and so, you know, it was just changing the way products in her bathroom were, because it was so hard to find clean beauty back then. And now it's so accessible, and I'm just constantly on your site sending her new products, and she gets to try different potions and lotions, and she loves it. But it's amazing how this industry has evolved, and it needs people like you to be the voice of this industry.
I think that we have a great responsibility, and I think it's also important the people that you partner with, because if they're not mission aligned, then somewhere that whole process is going to get arrested. I think that we walk the talk, and I think my purpose is to ensure that we always don't stray, but stay on the straight line, is what I was trying to say.
I love that.
I think that my journey in this region, as intimidating as it was in the beginning, and making this transition to be an entrepreneur has been very terrifying at times, but also very rewarding. I am now finding new things about myself. Some are positive and some are gaps that I need to work on. So I think that going through this journey with Secret Skin, I'm also finding a new relationship with myself.
That's so true. But I always think learning is constant. I think people who think that you just stop, that's not going to happen. You know,
it's like chrysalis, right? I mean,
you have to keep evolving. You have to keep growing, and you know, education, whether it's something as formal as taking a course to just constantly reading. And I always say, even just listening to a podcast, like I've actually changed the way, you know, I spend my time. So I try and make time to just listen and learn to people I feel are my mentors or that I can learn from, even if it's like a 15-minute podcast or half an hour, just to get my mind thinking in different ways and opening my perspective.
So there's a reason why you're listening to these people, because you can relate to them.
Of course.
And
we both evolved, right? Like I've evolved and I'm listening to something that's resonating with me and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm connecting with at this moment.
Yes. And people follow people. I mean, it runs through the thread of Secret Skin as a value proposition as well. That if you stand for something, and Rose, you always get what you have the courage to ask for in life.
I love that. Can we just highlight that one for a second? That's like an Oprah moment for a second.
And I've been really grateful for the kind of recognition that we received so early. It's heady, but I also know that I have a purpose that goes beyond this. I don't know what that is, but I know that this disruption is happening for a reason. This whole transformation, this angst, that I need to find what began as the early journey of Secret Skin. I need to find where this goes. So that I know will appear with time.
Well, you are on the right track, and thank you for sharing your story. It is honestly so inspiring. And you and I talk all the time, and I'm so happy you're able to share the story with the audience. But before you go, Indigo Living, their motto is living beautifully. What does that mean to you?
That means living beautifully is living in the present moment. It's not in the past, not in the future, but in the 24 hours that you have. If you can inspire one life, even if that's you, I think that it's a day well spent.
I love that.
Being present, being mindful. And I almost died 11 years ago, so who better than me to not live in the past or the future, but to live in the moment, carpe diem. Living beautifully means being true to your own self, and then you can't be false.
Love, 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 Anisha. We love having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for making my skin glow. Thank you for sharing your story. And it was honestly so inspiring because I know it takes the plunge to get out of that corporate world and make that leap into the world of entrepreneurship and being your own boss and a leader and all of that. And it's a constant learning curve, but we're so happy to have you in the clean beauty space.
Thank you. I hope to inspire more people and keep inspiring myself in the journey.
Thank you so much for being on this week's episode. We loved having you and thank you for sharing your story.
It's always wonderful to chat with you, Rose.
And thank you for joining us on this week's edition of On the Couch series brought to you by Indigo Living. This platform is all about inspiring you as well as inspiring me with incredible women across the region who are starting businesses, small or big, and hopefully we're sharing their stories that you can learn from and be inspired. So before the next segment, I'm going to take one of these products and refresh my skin. Secret Skin is available online. Check out the website, place your first order. We can't wait to hear from you and to watch the full episode of Anisha's interview again, because I'm sure there were so many incredible points, as well as to catch our upcoming episode as well. Follow YouTube, Instagram, and all of the details below. See you next week.